Welcome back to Our Canada, Our Future. We're talking internet regulation with Peter Menzies, Senior Fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Peter, we're talking about Bill C-11, which is changes to the Broadcasting Act to cover the internet. Now, one of the big debates about this bill is that the government insists it's not going to cover user content. The minister has said that repeatedly. We heard the chair of the CRTC say the opposite, saying it might. I guess I put it to you, who's right here? What does the bill actually cover?
Ian Scott is correct, the chair of the CRTC, and the section is of the legislation is very clear that it does give the CRTC authority to regulate content that has been uploaded to platforms, right? Which is user content. The tricky part, and this is where it gets confusing and it allows people to obfuscate, is that there's also a paragraph in there that says we are not going to regulate non-commercial users, right? So if I post pictures of my grandchildren, they say to me, "Don't worry about it. We're not going to regulate you." But at the same breath, they're actually going to regulate the platforms that receive the pictures of my grandchildren. So they could tell those platforms what to do with what I post. So they could tell the platform to take it down, but they won't tell me to take it down. So I mean, that's a fine line that they're playing with there, and I really do think that as the process has gone on, the government has been uh, less than forthright about exactly how this is going to be managed. I mean, it's fine to say we don't intend for the CRTC to use this power we are giving it, but then why give it the power?
Yeah, do you think there's a chance that the government itself is confused, that they don't actually realize the scope of what they're providing, or is it, as you say, they are simply saying trust us? And I know Ian Scott has said something to the similar effect. We don't plan to do this, and yet, as you say, if that's not in the cards, if that's not the plan, then why does the law not make it clear that
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
not allowed to do
I,
this?
I think there's a good chance that that's kind of what's happened, that they've taken a look at it and say, well, while we're doing this, we don't want to have to go in and, re-amend the Broadcasting Act and re-amend it and that sort of stuff. Why don't we give them, these sorts of authorities? So just in case they would have to in the future, they could use it. But we don't really see anything happening right now that's going to make us need to do that in the future. If that's the case, then just say it, right? But at the same time, the mistake in doing that is that there will always be somebody who will spot that opportunity, right? And come to the CRTC and say, hey, right, you have the authority to do this, and my company is suffering because of that. And if you do this, then my life will be better. So please do it. And you'll get a sympathetic group of CRTC commissioners who will go ahead. And then the dam's broken.
Right. Now, even if we're granting that there's some ambiguity here and people are, there's debate over what some of these provisions actually mean and what they intend to do. You've written about the fact how many opponents of the bill, including yourself, if not by name, sort of implicitly, have been attacked by some government members of parliament as spreading what they claim is misinformation. Now, I guess I'd ask you what in your view makes this different than sort of a run-of-the-mill sort of political back and forth that you have government MPs accusing critics of their bill as spreading misinformation.
Well, not that, but not only that, but others have sort of accused it of being, deliberate misinformation, right? Now that's not
Mm.
very nice, right? I mean, we can all disagree about things. We should be able to have debates regarding, public policy issues and, exchange ideas and tell each other we're wrong. But to get into the point where you're accusing people of spreading disinformation or misinformation at the same time, and we might talk about this later, as you're contemplating legislation that is going to restrict the what the government might call misinformation or disinformation, is really not helpful, because it's not getting the public anywhere. It's not clarifying things anymore, and it's treating people as, and I get that politicians do this, but it's treating people as if we're in as if we're all political partisans like them, and we're
Mm.
not. We all come from different, perhaps ideological perspectives, and can go back and forth, but we're not. I mean, the big thing was they kept saying, well, the CRTC doesn't regulate speech. what it does, right? I mean, I know it does. I worked there for 10 years, right? Does it does it do so in a way that most people would find okay? Perhaps. Does it do so in a way that others would not find okay? Perhaps. But we can debate that.